Good evening, everyone. Speaking on behalf of SJS Enterprises, I'm Lalit Jai Singh from Concept PR, your moderator for this virtual brokers and analyst event. I would take this opportunity to thank you for taking out your time from your busy schedules to join us. We appreciate your presence and extend a very warm welcome to all of you. The objective of today's live session is to understand SJS Enterprises' interest in raising finance for an initial public offering and what they do as a business organization. Under a normal circumstance, this would have been an on-ground event, but we all are increasingly getting accustomed to this as a safer and more convenient format of attending and conducting the roadshow. We hope you gather the same or a better experience from the comfort of your home and office. Before I review the functionality of this webinar, I would like to bring to light that SJS is India's leading players in the decorative aesthetics industry space, offering the widest range of aesthetic products in India as well as to its global customers. A design to delivery aesthetic solutions provider with the ability to design, SJS develops and manufactures a diverse product portfolio for a wide range of customers, primarily in the automotive and consumer appliance space. The company supplied over 115 million parts with more than 6,000 SKUs in FY21 to around 170 customers in approximately 90 cities across 20 countries. Moving ahead, you'll be kept on mute throughout the event and all questions will be answered via the Q&A chat box only, where you can type your question in session or at the end of the webinar. Would request all participants to please limit yourself to 3 questions if possible. If we miss answering any of your questions, don't worry, you can email us at ipoteam@conceptpr.com and we will try to be swift in responding back to you. Going forward, it's a great pleasure to introduce our speakers today. From the company, we have Mr. K. Joseph, Managing Director, Mr. Sanjay Thapar, CEO and Executive Director, Mr. Amit Kumar Garg, Chief Financial Officer. The representation from the book running lead managers are Mr. Ashish Nigam, Executive Director, Axis Capital Limited, Mr. Satyan Shah, MD, Head Investment Banking, Edelweiss Financial Services Limited, and Mr. Kunal Bhavishi, VP, IIFL Securities Limited. On behalf of the company and the lead managers to the issue, let me thank all participants for being a part of this session. I now invite Mr. Satyan Shah from Edelweiss to take the opening remark and commence this brokers and analyst session. Over to you, Satyan.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Lalit. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you at the broker and analyst meet for SJS Enterprise. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of you on behalf of the company and the lead managers for taking a time to attend this meet. Lalit has just, kind of given a brief introduction of the team. I would only like to say that this is a very, very highly experienced team, with each of them having over 30 years of experience, in the industry, each. And with respect to the company, SJS had very humble beginnings in 1987, started off their operations in a small garage, and today it has evolved itself into one of the leading players in the Indian decoratives aesthetic industry, as Lalit just explained. Clearly, with the rising thrust on aesthetics across all consumer-facing products, we expect some real strong wins for the overall industry. As per CRISIL estimates, the industry is expected to grow by over 20% CAGR between FY21 to 26. The company clearly focuses on innovation and strong product design and development, which are one of its key capabilities. It has one of the widest product portfolio with over 6,000 SKUs across its aesthetic segments. One very unique part about the company has been its very, very long-standing customer relationships. The relationship with the 10 largest customers is averaging around 15 years. This is based on Q1 FY22 revenue. So that is the depth or long duration of the relationships with clients. Some of these above factors have been responsible in the company delivering some real strong financial parameters. So it has industry leading EBITDA margins at close to 30%, very, very strong return ratios, again close to 30%, and extremely healthy free cash flow generation year on year basis. Overall, I think with significant experience in the aesthetic industry, designed to deliver capabilities, track record of supplying premium products, long-standing customer relationships, as I just mentioned, and support from the Everstone team, we believe that SJS will be a key beneficiary in the times to come, especially where the aesthetic industry is expected to grow by over 20% over the next 5 years. The issue provides a great opportunity for investors to participate in this growth story. Issue dates, issue opens for subscription on Monday, 1st of November, closes on Wednesday, 3rd of November. The anchor is scheduled for this Friday, which is October 29th. The IPO consists of an offer for sale for up to 800 crores. The price band for the issue has been fixed at between 531 to 542 rupees, with the issue size at 800 crores being at the upper end of the price band. We, on behalf of all the merchant bankers, would like to seek your support to make this issue a successful one. And with this request, I would welcome you all once again and would like to invite Mr. Joseph to share his views and thoughts and take us through the company presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah, for the introduction to SJS Enterprises initial public offering and the issues key highlights. I would now, with much further ado, hand it over to Mr. Thapar and Mr. Joseph and Amit to take you through the investor presentation and how they've grown the business, to bring it to what it is here today. Over to you, Mr. Thapar.
Yeah, thank you, Lalit. So I begin with talking about the company. So let me begin with a small background of myself. So I'm a mechanical engineer with an automotive background, been managing business for the past more than 30 years. Started my career with an OEM telco, now called, of course, Tata Motors. Joined the Minda Group in Delhi as a part of the core team tasked to scale up that small unknown family business at that time. Now, of course, Minda is one of the largest auto component players in the country. During my 25 years with Minda, I wore many hats. Was the president of a German JV, then the MD of a joint venture with Valeo France. Was also the chief strategy officer for the Ashok Minda Group. I left Minda to join hands with Everstone Capital to invest in SJS in 2015. I'm on the board of this company for the past 6 years and helping grow this business along with Joe. Also, as said, Joe is the MD of the company. He's one of the original founders and a veteran in the printing industry. And I also have on the call today Amit, who's the CFO of SJS. So I would now like to hand over to Joe to take you through the journey. Oh, Joe, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. And good afternoon, everyone. This is K. Joseph, Managing Director, and the J in SJS. Me, along with my partners, Srinivasan and Shivkumar, started this company in 1987, almost 34 years back. Our journey began with the manufacturing of seemingly trivial reflective stickers for publicity-related activities for consumer appliance industry. Soon the business evolved and we started manufacturing what are known as operator control panels for dot matrix printers for companies like TVS and Wipro. And those days, these items were being imported all the way from Japan. In 1994, we introduced what are known as polyurethane domes, which were then used by appliance manufacturers worldwide for product branding. Innovation and creativity has been our prime focus. And in 95-96, we started manufacturing automotive dials. And the first Hyundai Santro model, which got manufactured in India, rolled out with our dials. Since inception, three things have remained synonymous with SJS: our absolute customer-centric approach. Everything we do it for our customers. Serving the best names in auto and appliance industry world over. And our focus on product quality, which was always a significant differentiator for our customers. Of course, this required us to constantly upgrade ourselves with new technology and also invest in state-of-the-art equipment. As a result, in 2006, we had a joint venture with a company called Serigraph from US, who had a similar portfolio like us. They also had some initial ideas about acquiring a majority stake in SJS, which did not happen as a fallout of the global 2008 global financial crisis. While the dials market kept growing, in 2010, we introduced 3D Lex, a premium branding technology. This is an environmentally friendly and easy to use alternative compared to the conventional chrome plating technology. In 2015, my partners, Srini and Shiva, decided to retire, and this is when Everstone invested in SJS. With Everstone coming on board, it took us to a new orbit. We became much bolder in our approach. With Sanjay coming in as a professional, we enhanced our innovation and R&D capabilities. We increased our thrust on exports and focused on building mega accounts. We also hired strong senior and mid-level talent. And since then, me and Sanjay has been running this company quite successfully by introducing a host of new products like aluminum badges and technologies like in-mold decoration, 3D dials, etc. In 2018, we moved out to a state-of-the-art facility with about 235,000 square feet of built-up area to enhance our capacities and also to accommodate the newer technologies that we were introducing. As a strategy to enhance our product portfolio in aesthetic products, we acquired a chrome plating plant in April of 2021. My vision, of course, for SJS over the next 5 years is to make that we emerge as India's most technologically advanced global supplier of quality aesthetic solutions to the auto and appliance world. We strongly believe that as a company, we can be truly successful only when our employees are happy and motivated. Therefore, we have one of the most progressive ESOPs in the company with over 250 employees being given options in the company. Of course, I will continue to remain 100% committed to this business. And as part of my succession planning, my son Kevin has joined SJS about 3 years back and now has been brought on the board of SJS. And I look forward to growing this business with Sanjay, Kevin, and the team to make SJS as one of the most respected aesthetic product manufacturing company in the world. That's it from me. Sanjay, I think you can take it forward from here.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will now, before I start talking about the company, quickly explain to you what are the products that we do. So decals and body graphics are stickers that you see on the petrol tank and plastic parts of a motorcycle or a car, used by OEMs to create a brand identity. In fact, no motorcycle is complete without these. We are amongst the largest producers of these in India. Dials, 2D dials are flat dials that are integral to any speedometer in any vehicle. We also do what are called 3D dials. These are high technology, three-dimensional dials that car OEMs are shifting to from 2D dials to improve aesthetics of a car. These are extremely difficult to produce, and SJS is the only company in India that has capability to produce this in any meaningful numbers. We also do what are called 3D Lux badges, very attractive aesthetic parts that look like metal, but actually use a composite film. This is flexible. These are high cost parts, but make a huge difference to the appeal for any product or vehicle or appliance. So the marketeers of these companies love to use them. We also do domes. These are polyurethane coated stickers to improve aesthetics and add a dimension of depth to a 2D label. We also do overlays. These are integral to any control panel on any appliance. So the wash cycle on a washing machine, for example, you press or you touch this overlay to select the wash cycle. We are the dominant supplier in this market for consumer appliances. We also do aluminum badges. We also do IML, IMD parts. So these are parts that are a combination of a printed film and a plastic injected part. They're used to provide a very rich appeal, including some special characteristics like scratch resistance to parts, find extensive use in refrigerators, washing machines, and also in cars for the indoor trims and dashboard trims for the interiors of cars. We also do lens mask assemblies. So these are optical lenses that are printed and injection molded, used in two-wheelers that are upgrading from a speedometer, analog speedometer to a digital instrument cluster. So SJS is a leading supplier of these parts in India. We export in large quantities as well, because we have a unique capability in our plant to do printing and molding in a dust-free environment, which is a very big competitive advantage. We also do what are called optical plastic parts, very critical to quality. They're used in displays and navigation screens in the car. SJS is working on this technology, is pretty high-end for the last 3 years. Very special optical properties are required, anti-haze, transmission levels, anti-glare, anti-reflection, anti-fingerprint. So very complex parts. And these we see a lot of traction for this business as well. Chrome plating is a product line that we introduced thanks to this acquisition of Exotech. So these are find extensive use in cars and two-wheelers, also in sanitary ware applications. So pretty much, so On the left, you see a flush plate that we supply to Geberit in different finishes. Then the front grills, the inside handles, outside handles of cars. Then we also do what are called painted wheel covers that go in cars that don't have alloy wheels. We also have an aftermarket brand called Transform, where we sell accessories to the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler market. To explain to you in a nutshell, on a single page, what is SGS about? So we are a unique company, one of the leading players in the decorative aesthetic space. This overall industry has a very high underlying growth rate. So the average CAGR for the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler industries is estimated, and appliances is estimated to grow at about 10-12% by CRISIL. CRISIL also says that the aesthetic markets is likely to grow at 20%. And at SGS, traditionally, we have outperformed the market. So we see a very bright future for us. Our financials on a pro forma basis for FY21 were 3,201 million rupees. We have 11 category of products that I just showed you. We address 7 end markets, which is the widest in the industry in India. So we supply to two-wheelers, passenger vehicles, consumer durables, commercial vehicles, medical devices, sanitary ware, farm equipment. So pretty much all consumer touch interfaces which require aesthetics, SGS has a product to fill there. We have a very strong design development team and capability. We are a single-stop solution provider. Customers come to us to design new products. We have industry-leading design and development delivery times. We supply a large number of parts, has been told to you. 115 million parts shipped last year, 6,000 SKUs to more than 20 countries worldwide, and very, very strong customer relationship. Top 10 customers have been with us at an average of about 15 years. That gives a lot of confidence to customers on our capability. I will now talk a little bit about the market. What is the size of the market that we operate in? So CRISIL estimated the size of the aesthetics market and North America and Europe. They calculated that the market is $2.7 billion US. The Indian market in FY21 was 19.9 billion rupees, growing at a CAGR of 20% for the decorative space, split across end segments. So two-wheelers, passenger vehicles, consumer durables. At SGS, we are very well placed to benefit from this growth, as we have the products, the customer connect, and the manufacturing capabilities, and we already serve these end markets. So aesthetics, we see a lot of tailwinds also by changing customer trends. So we see a distinct shift to premiumization that CRISIL also endorses. So there is a shift from traditional plain vanilla products to more value-added products. And this is thanks to the increase in disposable incomes in the country, aspiration for better quality, a connected world. Customers do a lot of online research before they go and buy a fridge or a refrigerator or a washing machine or a car or a two-wheeler. So they want all the aesthetic elements to come into the product that they buy, and that is driving that change. So in terms of premiumization, I'll give you some examples. So for cars, for example, the dial that goes into the instrument cluster is moving away quite rapidly from a 2D dial or a flat dial to a 3D form dial. This is at a price point which is 3 times the cost of a flat 2D dial. So great increase in content per car. Then there is also a shift from a normal 2D dial in a motorcycle to a digital instrument cluster. And all digital instrument clusters require a lens mask assembly. So the content in a vehicle that was supplied by SGS earlier has grown from about 25 rupees to almost 150 to 200 rupees for a lens mask assembly that we supply. The same trend we see in appliances. So traditionally, you used to have capacitive overlays in a washing machine to select your wash cycle. You press a button and you select it. Now, of course, you have capacitive touch coming in, where you just have to put your finger or slide your finger and select whatever function you want. And this adds about 30% to the cost of an overlay. Again, increasing content for us. You see a transition happening to a lot of cars' interiors now have touch-based systems on the navigation and display screens, where you select various functions. And this has led to an increase of almost all these parts. Systems require optical plastics, which SES does. The average content is 300 to 700 rupees in a car. And also IML, IMD products find a lot of use inside cars. So you have these wood panel inside the door trim for cars like BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz. Now Indian car companies at much lower price points are transitioning using this technology. So we see a clear shift towards this. Harrier, Tata Harrier, for example, has borrowed this technology from Jaguar Land Rover, introduced to India, and a lot of Indian customers are following the same route. A bit about competition. So unlike typical auto component companies which deal with just one or two marquee customers, we are quite diversified, and unlike many auto component companies which deal with just one or two products, we have a vast array of products. So that is what is different about SES. So on the Y-axis, you have a list of our competitors. On the X-axis, you have the traditional products and the advanced technology products. So while for the traditional products, there are a few companies which do logos or decals or chrome-plated parts, but there is nobody who does all of them like SGS does. And for the advanced technology parts, the differentiation is even more. So we've done a lot of hard work over the last 3 years to build technology for these parts and prove these parts and start supplying to them. So on the competitive landscape, our competitors are far behind, and we are largely catering to import substitution requirements for these technology parts. And we, of course, deal with the two-wheeler, passenger vehicles, and consumer durables as an industry. In terms of our concentration of business and risk, we are fairly well diversified. So two-wheelers constituted about 70% of our sales in FY19. This has come down to about 49.5% as of the Q1 of this year. Moving forward, we expect that the other segments will grow much faster. So this wheel will become even more balanced. In terms of revenues, exports was 9.8% of our sales in FY19. Q1 FY22, we did 17.6%. That is the split. Moving forward, this trend will continue. We've added a lot of new products, and that I will not go through each of them, but all this this help us sell more products to customers, and we already have strong relationships, so very strong traction to outperform the market. In terms of manufacturing, we are proud of what we say is possibly one of the best plants in the country. Customers tell us this, and we are very happy. The Bangalore plant that we have is the LEED Gold certified. This is Leadership in Energy Efficiency and Design, certified by the US Green Building Council. This plant is completely dust-free. We generate almost 2 megawatts of solar power in our plant. Our machines are completely flexible, fungible. So if there's an increase in one segment of the market, we don't have any lead time waiting to build capacity. We can very quickly transfer production resources to that product to meet that demand. So our machines are fungible, which is a great plus. And we've invested in this in 2018. So we are future protected in terms of capacities. So currently we have a lot of headroom to grow. We are just 50% at an average 50% capacity utilization. Our products are very light and easy to ship. So they are a natural candidate for exports, which we have done very successfully. So we export parts across the world, as said earlier, to Latin America, North America, Europe, Middle East, Russia, Vietnam, a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and of course, India. And never ever has a customer line stopped because of SGS. Very strong track record. Our plants is one of the best in the world. So we have a styling studio where companies or OEMs come to us to discuss design ideas and look at us to propose prototypes. So that gives us very strong traction. The machines, of course, are absolutely at the top of their game. We have very strong focus in terms of new product development. 46 people in my company have nothing to do with day-to-day business in the company. They're all future focused. And this very laser sharp focus on new product development has allowed us in the last 3 years to develop 5 new product technologies, not just products. Products are maybe hundreds of products, but these 5 new product lines that we developed is thanks to a very seasoned team of professional that we have. We have very well-defined SOPs or product development processes, which we implement. We work very closely with our customers to ideate, to propose designs in our styling studio. So a lot of companies come to us with a mood board to convert them into graphic design in terms of aesthetics, colors, and profiles. And that early engagement with customers has allowed us to get into these new generation technology products, because we are well aware of what the needs for aesthetic products is going to be 3-4 years down the line. Our customer relationships, we virtually supply to almost all the companies in India, virtually as a tier 1 or a tier 2 supplier. So in the two-wheeler space, we supply to 6 out of the top 7 brands. We have marquee global accounts like Marelli and Visteon, which we supply globally as a tier 2 position. So we supply dials, and these dials, they assemble in instrument clusters and supply to car companies. Consumer durable companies, we supply to almost 7 of the top 10 brands in the country. Again, a very strong market position. There are markets like medical devices, for example, blood pressure monitors, oximeters require a lot of displays and overlays. We've just started working on this segment, which is again a huge market worldwide. We of course have sanitary ware at Geberit. We supply a lot of chrome plating parts as well. Our concentration in terms of customers, the largest customer we have is only about 18.9% of our revenues as of Q1 22. And this also split across 3 manufacturing plants. So we don't have a very high concentration of to a specific customer, and that de-risks the overall business. We have a great track record in terms of new product introduction leading to growth. This is where growth is going to come from. So customer A is an example of an automotive player. So this is Visteon actually. So we started doing 2D dials, as Joe said earlier, for the Santro. Then we started doing 3D dials, lens mask assemblies, optical plastics. We are on their global panel, and we get RFQs from their plants across the world. We already supply to about 10 of their overseas locations. Our sales with them have grown very rapidly over the last 2 years, thanks to this new product introduction we've done. So we've increased revenues from almost 12 crores per year to about 42 crores a year last year, almost a 3.4x growth. And moving forward, we hope this will continue strongly as well. Customer B is Whirlpool Corporation. So this is a company, is a leader in the appliance space. We started supplying PU domes to them in India. Then we introduced IML, IMD parts. We introduced capacitive overlays, and we have introduced the aluminum badges. All these are requested by the customer. So we are a dominant player with them in India. We handle very large market shares in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa for them. We've entered the North American market 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago with them. We supply to 2 plants in Mexico, which supply to their European operations, US operations. And we expect this, Whirlpool incidentally gets 50% of the revenues out of North America. And we will introduce all the other products that we have also. So that's a very large room to play there. Our revenues with Whirlpool increased by 40% in the last 2 years, despite pandemic shutdowns in India. On the board level, we have a very strong board. Mr. Ramesh Jain, who retired as the ex-vice chairman of Eicher Group, is on the board as a non-executive chairman. We have Matthias Frenzel. He retired as the global sourcing director for Visteon Corporation. Very strong knowledge of the North American and the European auto market. Was buying appliques and optical plastic parts from SJS. Has a good understanding of our customers, and again, very helpful in terms of our global mission. At the operational level, we have an exceedingly strong seasoned team. Amit, who's on the call today, heads the finance and the accounts functions. We have a chief marketing officer, Raju, more than 22 years experience in the industry. Again, very strong customer relationship. We have Sadashiv Baligar, who's the COO. So the entire operations report to him. He started his life with Motherson. Then he spent many years with Toyota, learning the Toyota shop floor best practices systems. He's driving operational efficiency at SGS. So with this, I hand over to Amit to take you through the financial profile of the company. Amit, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. So we are a company with a very strong financial performance and balance sheet. We have consistently outperformed industry we service in last 4-5 years. In financial year 22-21, while the industry declined by 10 to 12%, we grew at 16%. Our consolidated pro forma revenue post Exotech acquisition in financial year 21 was 320 crores and on a standalone basis was 252 crores. In Q1, we were impacted by COVID as the industry we service had shutdowns. As a result, our consolidated Q1 revenue was 74 crores. We expect aesthetic industry to grow in the range of 20% as per CRISIL industry report of aesthetic industry. And our growth should be in line with that. Our consolidated EBITDA in financial 21 was 93.5 crores and in Q1 it was 18.6 crores. Our PAT in financial year 21 was 52 crores and in Q1 it was 9.5 crores. Since we have operational capacity, we will be taking advantage of operating leverage in driving our revenue and margin growth. Our ROC and ROE in financial 21 were 27% and 16.5%. We expect to grow at the same level. We are a cash generating company. Our FCF in financial 21 was 64 crores. The entire expansion of the plant in 2018 was self-funded and acquisition Exotech was also self-funded from the internal resources generated by the company. We will continue to generate and grow cash. Further, we are a debt-free company. Our FCF as a percentage of EBITDA and PAT in financial 21 was 68% and 22% respectively. In the end, I would say we are a company with a very strong financial performance and balance sheet and have a very strong growth story in revenue, margin, and cash. With this, I'll hand over to Sanjay to talk about Exotech acquisition.
Yeah, thank you, Amit. So very quickly, I will take another couple of minutes to close, then we can take question and answers. So Exotech was a company which does chrome plating on plastics and painting on plastics. So this was a natural extension of our product portfolio. With this, our portfolio is complete. As I said earlier, a lot of our customers buy a lot of plastic chrome plated and painted parts. And we have a natural cross-selling opportunity with the products of this company being sold to our customers that we've been supporting for the past so many years. On the other hand, it gives us an opportunity for SGS to sell products to what customers Exotech has. So it's a true win-win. Last year's revenue for this company were about 75 crores. Chrome plating and painting is a large chunk of the decorative market. So out of that 1900 crores, close to about 23-25% is chrome plating. So with this, we increase the area, the addressable market for us in India and overseas. And we will, of course, take these products to our customers overseas as well. And as said earlier, this is slated to grow. Customers really like chrome plating and a lot of decorative chrome plating parts. So this business is poised to grow strongly. To summarize, SGS is, as Amit said, we are a very strong company with very strong financials and very large amount of free cash generation. We will continue to leverage our market position to enhance growth. There are favorable tailwinds I referred to, change towards premiumization. We have the products and our growth trajectory is very strong. In terms of products, we will continue to add and develop new products, introduce new technologies, and this will differentiate us from competition and also increase our wallet share, both in India and overseas. We will increase our footprint with customers, global, with the global accounts that we've incubated, leverage cross-selling opportunities like for chrome plating parts and any new product that we introduce. We have a ready market with our customers who have trust and confidence in us. Exports, as I said, we have very export-friendly products, light, easy to ship. So there is no disadvantage not being in that location. And because of our strong NPD capabilities and the new products that we've launched over the last 2-3 years and the capacity that we have, we expect this to be a growth engine for the company. Short term, we want to integrate this company Exotech that we acquired 5 months ago. So we will roll out the business process of SGS to drive operational efficiency there. And because of this large free cash that we have, we are cognizant of the inorganic growth opportunity that exists for us, and on a value creative manner, which makes sense to our shareholders. We will look at acquisitions with a very, very careful attention. The idea is that this market is fragmented. There are opportunities, and we will continue to explore those opportunities as we move forward. With this, I come to an end of the presentation. We are open to question and answers, whatever you ladies and gentlemen would have.
Thank you for taking us through the presentation, sir. We hope the attendees have captured enough and more understanding of SJS Enterprises business model, financials, and execution capabilities. Before the floor is open for participants to ask their questions, I would like to reiterate to type your name and organization details in the Q&A chat box for the moderator to take note and address your query. Note, in the interest of time, we will be restricting to 15 to 20 questions only, and repetitive questions will be skipped. Jumping to the first question, sir. Your margin profile is superior compared to peers. What do you attribute this to?
Primarily that we have differentiated products. We develop products which are not plain vanilla products. That's been a strategy for SJS, and that's what Joe and I discuss very often. We want to do complicated parts. We want to do parts that are tough to do, which companies in India have limited success doing. So we are actually substituting a lot of imports for our customers, and that is the reason why our margins are superior. And of course, we have great best practices at work across our functions.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, which asks, given that you are presently operating at 50%, can we look at the revenues doubling and PAT, over the next 3 years? If you could share some details there.
As I mentioned in my presentation, that we have a lot of operating leverage on our side, which will help us in driving revenue as well as margin growth. This will continue. And as the industry itself is growing at 20%, there's enough capacity for us not to invest any capex in future. That will also help on a cash front. So yeah, we can't comment as such specifically, but yes, we have operating leverage to our side.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, with respect to your exports, which as of July contributes about 17%, while there has been an improvement over the last 3 fiscals, what kind of upside do you see here?
So I am bound by my merchant banking friends not to make any forward-looking statement, but nonetheless, as I said, the products that we have now, which are the de facto standard in export markets. So form dials, for example, are the de facto standards. India is still introducing them, but worldwide they use these in large numbers. So we see a lot of traction for products like these, products like optical plastic parts. We also see a lot of traction for IML, IMD parts. We see a lot of growth in the consumer appliances businesses because we have large global marquee accounts. They've generated confidence in us in India. We have a world-class plant. So all in all, this export story looks very promising.
Thank you, sir. Could you explain the term design to delivery? What all does it encompass and across what substrates?
So substrates, of course, substrates depend on what is the requirement of the customer for that product specifically. But essentially, we have a styling studio. Customers come to us to ideate on designs. They want us to do prototyping at different price points. So we work very closely with them. And from the ideation stage to actually delivering finished products. So they don't have to go anywhere. And the advantage at SJS we have is that we have so many different technologies in the company that if a company comes for chrome plating, it is quite possible that they also like the finish we can achieve with an IMD or IML part or with a 3D Lux part. So they have multiple options that they see at SJS, which is limited with our competition. So we are, as we say, a single stop solution. So you have a requirement to decorate a product, come to SJS, and we will deliver that part to world-class standards at a very competitive price.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, is there any comparable of yours in the listed space at the moment?
No. We don't have a listed comparable company really, because no company has the product portfolio that we have. and they don't. I mean, there's no listed company that does our business. We are quite unique as a business because we straddle many customer segments and very many product technologies.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, which asks on your CapEx plans, given that you've just taken over Exotech, do you have any CapEx plans for the next 3 years?
So we currently have a capacity to our site, so we don't see any significant capex. What would be is a maintenance one.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Is the working capital cycle right now ideal or is it on the higher side?
So in past, we have maintained the same cycle, and we believe that we'll be managing the same given the these industries we service have the similar kind of lines of working capital requirements.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. Could you give some names to us of your key customers and what is the customer stickiness that you have with them?
So some customers, okay, let me start with the consumer durable customers or consumer appliance businesses. We supply to Whirlpool, we supply to Samsung, we supply to Panasonic, we supply to Godrej. Automotive side, we supply to TVS Motors, Bajaj Auto, Honda motorcycle scooters, Royal Enfield, Yamaha, Suzuki. So we also have businesses with large global tier 1 companies like Visteon and Marelli. So we supply virtually to many customers. And as I said earlier, we have a very sticky relationship. Our top 10 customers, the average relationship has been for 15 years with the top 10 customers by revenue. So very strong relationship.
Thank you, sir. Despite COVID, your business has grown at 16.4% year on year. What has the company done right?
Two things. At the strategy level, we've developed the products and we've increased our wallet share. So to a motorcycle, as the example I gave, from a 25 rupee dial, we moved to a 150 rupee lens mask assembly. From a flat dial, we moved to a form dial, which is again 3x in terms of cost. We've added new technologies in decoration, especially in the area of overlays. So largely it is new technology introduction, which has helped us increase margins and revenues, and the ability to sell more products to the same vehicle or the same appliance. And with this addition of chrome plating to our portfolio, we even have more material to supply to customers or vehicles. So that is the reason why, while the market went down by about 13-14% last year, we grew by about 16.5%.
Okay, sir, could you give us clarity on your manufacturing plant, capacity right now, utilization at the moment?
Right now, I would say that we are about 50% utilization
50% utilization of the capacity.
Okay, sir. There's a question which is there on capital deployment, considering that you have a strong FCF generation and net cash balance. Do you have any plans, for deployment of this capital anytime soon?
So the cash that we are generating would be, we're looking for, we'll look towards either creating organic or inorganic opportunities for our business. Organic largely would come when we added any new product lines or export markets, and inorganic, we're always looking out for good segments and opportunity where we can expand.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. From an exports perspective, which are the products which are driving the export market, and also from a global competition point of view, could you indicate some companies that you compete with globally?
So as I said earlier, exports, typically these new generation, new technology products that we've developed find a lot of traction. So form dials is one example I gave. Also in terms of optical plastics, there's a lot of requirement overseas. The number of screens per car are huge. We are already working with some Western European OEMs to develop or show prototypes of our capability and technology. So those are some of the themes that will drive growth. Then even for the appliance businesses, we have IML and optical plastic parts that are required, capacitive touch parts that are required for washing machines. And thanks to our large global accounts that we have, so those markets are opening up for us. They're very happy to have us on board. And price-wise, we are quite competitive. Some customers in the overseas markets, their companies There's no single company that does everything that we do, but there is competition in some parts. For example, dials. There's a company called Megavigan in Europe. Then you have Serigraph, which was a former partner with SGS or investor in SGS. They are located in North America. They do overlays. They do form dials. Then you have companies like ADS in North America, which also do similar product as us, not as wide a portfolio. So there are quite a few. But as I said, the market even globally is fragmented. So you have people focusing just on one technology. Nobody has the single stop solution concept that we do.
Thank you. So moving to the next questions. Need to understand what is the market share of the company in the served industry. Next question by the individual states: what is the realization level, as well as what is the shelf life of the product, and the opportunity also in the replacement market.
Okay, so first the market share question. So as I said, CRISIL estimated in FY21 the Indian market to be at 1,900 crores, out of which about 800 crores is chrome plating, which we were not playing in earlier. Just 5 months ago, we acquired a company which did just 70 crores in revenue in an 800 crore market. So we have a lot of headroom to grow there. In the balance part of the market, there is one customer we don't supply to at the moment, which is Hero MotoCorp. There is a competitor who supplies to Hero MotoCorp. Almost 80-90% of his revenue comes only from that customer. So if I remove, let's say, chrome plating and Hero MotoCorp, which is almost entirely with this one company, which is one of the early companies that got associated with Hero MotoCorp, our share is about 25% or 30%. If I add the business that is done by this competitor for Hero MotoCorp, I think we are at about 15-20% overall margin. Now in overall market share, sorry. And in terms of, this is a overall calculation. There are segments where we are 100% suppliers, and there are segments where we share some market with some competitors. So this is the blended number that I'm talking about. There are quite a few products where I'm single source. I have 100% share of business, especially the new technology products that I have. So I'm virtually the only source.
Okay, sir. Moving ahead, there was a question on, what is the key competitive advantage of SJS? As you've stated, pricing being one. Is there any other point that you would like to reiterate?
This market, is very demanding because the OEMs have multiple SKUs they want. So if there's a motorcycle manufacturer making one model in Uttaranchal and they have a plant in 2 other geographies, then they require maybe 8 or 9 different colors to be supported. And the market is quite fragmented in terms of the SKUs that they want. Now, for a company to be able to deliver these flawlessly, time on time, at the right quality levels, is the tough challenge. So most of our competitors, as I said earlier, focus just on 1 or 2 product lines. So the key competitive strength that SGS has is our very strong innovation and new product development capability that we have, and the ability to supply very large volumes and very large quantities. This, just to explain to those on the call who are familiar with the automotive industry, this is not a single piece flow. This is a batch mode operation. And to manage such complexity of 6,000 SKUs on the shop floor, produced almost 115 million parts a year, is a very tough challenge, which most companies are not up to. So at SGS, over the past 30-35 years, we've developed that expertise, and we have the manpower who has stayed with us to be able to deliver these flawlessly. So there's a very complex mix.
Thank you, sir. From a revenue perspective, FY21, 66% came from the OEMs, mainly two-wheelers. Do you see this revenue mix changing?
As I said, automotive OEMs are important to our business, but the product mix will change because the car business is growing much faster. As I said, the dependence on the two-wheeler business, while the two-wheeler business will grow, but other businesses will grow faster because we have new products to address that requirement. So the products mix will change, but we will benefit from, let's say, more diversity in the company, and also these new technology, new innovation products, of course, add to our margin profile also. So pretty much we will grow at the same way that we are. Of course, within the segment, there will be some shift.
Thank you, sir. From a customer contract perspective, there's a question: are these long-term in nature or short-term and re-reviewed every year?
So again, there are different technology and different products we have. For example, with a global tier 1 company like Visteon, so they have, let's say, a contract with a BMW or a Volkswagen or General Motors. So these are programs with a life of 7 years, 8 years, whatever. So once you are nominated, you stay on that program. This, of course, is on the nomination letter. But a lot of customers that are there in India, so it takes a lot of effort for a customer to approve a supplier. So normally they don't change suppliers unless you goof up big time. So in the history of SGS, we've never lost a customer. And typically, the successor business comes to the company which is doing the incumbent business. So let's say if there are 4 models of motorcycles made by a customer, and if I have 3 of them, then I will continue doing the 3 of them every time the facelift or whatever comes. Or unless there's a technology change, or I can offer some higher value to a customer, which we've done. So pretty much these are long-term contracts.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. How much time from the RFP stage does it take to get a customer on board? There's a question which states that, they didn't see names like Maruti or Hyundai or Honda in your customer list. So could you throw some light on that, sir?
No, so these names like Maruti or Hyundai, as I said, we are a tier 2 supplier. So we supply dials to a company which supplies to these companies. So our parts indirectly, we deal with almost all car companies as well, but we don't supply a direct part. They don't use a decal. So they use what are called dials. So dials are a part of an instrument cluster. So I don't ship a part to a OEM directly for a 4-wheeler. I supply it to an instrument cluster manufacturer and they supply. So virtually, Visteon has almost the entire business with Hyundai, and I supply to them, and Hyundai is the ultimate customer. Similarly, I supply to Visteon and they supply to Kia. They have 100% of their business. I supply to them. I supply to Magneti Marelli. I supply to JN Instruments. They supply to Maruti Suzuki. So I cater to them. So basically, it's depending on the product, I'm either in a tier 2 or a tier 1 position. Tier 1, of course, is what I supply directly to the OEMs.
Thank you, sir. Could you give some light on what kind of entry barriers do you see in this space? Also, do you see OEMs looking to backward integrate into what you're doing anytime in the future?
It is so complicated. We don't see any OEM getting into dial printing. As I said, it is a very fine art combined with science. It's not easy because it is a batch mode operation. And unless you have the economies of scale, you will not be able to survive. So at SGS, we tick all those boxes. So we see absolutely, I don't think any OEM would like to get into the sort of products that we do, because this is too small a product for them. They would rather focus on a powertrain or those big components. So these are aesthetic parts. Technology is changing very swiftly, and you need somebody right at the forefront like SGS to drive innovation, get them new. We give technology shows to our customers to say, hey, this is new. They want us to tell us, ask us what is new that you are developing, what is happening in the world. So we are much more agile, and I don't think, coming back to your question, any OEM has appetite to get into this business.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question. What is the impact of the cost pushed inflation that has come about?
So there is an increase in raw material prices. At SGS, we are benefited from the fact that we have a great buying leverage. We consume large quantities of adhesives, tapes, inks. So our customers listen to us. We are growing very strongly. They know that they need to support us. In fact, they're very supportive when we say that we are bidding for larger and larger shares of the global markets. So they are backing us. So we don't see a lot of pressure happening there. On the other side, as far as there are some parts, of course, where raw material prices do increase. We go back to our customers and politely ask them to review prices. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not. But at the same time, we do a lot of VAV activity to reduce cost. We have internal labs which validate everything from viscosity of inks to adhesives to everything there. So that superior technological advantage translates into our ability to keep our margins intact and despite changes in the raw material. And another factor is that this is our aesthetic part, so they change every 1 year. So the stripes or the stickers or the decals on a bike are new for every season. Almost 1 year, 2 years, the OEMs change them. And when they change, the new pricing that goes for the new part is based on the current reality of raw material costs. So there's a natural adjustment of raw material cost that happens moving forward.
Thank you, sir. There's a question which asks that given that the business is lucrative and the fundamentals are attractive and the future prospects also look good, why are the promoters selling, which is Mr. Joseph and Evergraph?
Okay. Evergraph, it's a private equity fund. So they always, they partner with any company to, exit at some point of time. And they are not selling their entire stake. And in fact, this post-IPO, me and Everstone put together will still be holding about 50% of the equity. So that is, I hope that answers.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, given that raw materials, is quite a considerable, amount that we spend on, do we have any kind of hedging policy when it comes to the upside of the costs going up?
So we are naturally hedged because of our imports, much lesser than our exports. So we have not taken any hedge policy specifically. So we continue to be naturally hedged in our foreign currency portfolio.
Thank you, sir. There's a question which also asks, are you currently supplying to any of the Indian EV models? What is the difference in content per vehicle under EV and ICE?
So the EV market is still evolving. So many companies are tentatively testing the market, finalizing the configuration. So yes, we are in discussions and we are supplying to some of the biggest names in the industry in India. We are, for reasons of confidentiality, not able to exactly identify who are these companies. But as I said, they're the largest ones in the country. The content, it depends on the look. The vehicle styling guys say that they want something. So somebody may want a minimalistic look. Somebody may want a decoration happening. So in a bike, for example, you have multiple options of different products that you use. And so it is a question that needs to be answered by the vehicle stylist model to model. So there's no one rule, or I can't give you one number that how much is the content in an EV vis-a-vis a conventional vehicle. Having said that, a lot of EVs naturally have what are called the digital instrument clusters. My expectation at the moment, most of these guys import these. My expectation is that moving forward, they will need to localize. And that's where SGS is right there. So we have more than 3 years experience in doing optical plastics. We understand all that is required to be done for these display screens. So I think that would be a big opportunity for us moving forward when the EV story plays out and they have a very meaningful volume in the Indian industry.
Thank you, sir. Given that you said that you manufacture the products in batches, sir, or at a single given time, what is the batch size like?
Joe?
Yeah. See, the batch size varies from product to product. If it is a dial, probably we'll be making about 5,000 numbers. If it is decals, again in the range of 5,000. If it is some domes, we'll be making about 20,000 numbers. So again, the product, it depends on what the product mix is. So depending on the range, it can, the batch sizes can vary a lot. And of course, there is always an economical, production batch size, which helps.
Thank you, sir. Moving to the next question, how much time would it take you to make a prototype of a product?
Okay, our typical life cycle for a product development cycle is about between 15 days to 6 months, again on the product. But in terms of emergencies, some of the parts we have even turned around even in 24 hours. So that's the strength that we have at SJS.
Thank you, sir. Moving
Just to add to that question, I'll just like to add.
Yes, sir.
So not only do we have very strong prototyping capability, as a company strategically, we've earmarked a complete set of machines only for prototyping and new product development. That is what allows Joe to give you parts in 24 hours.
Thank you, sir. Also, could you add on, how is 3D printing technology shaping up in India at the moment?
Look, 3D printing is not the conventional printing that you have, right? You produce parts. So here in the decorative space, you need colors, you need aesthetics. So 3D printing started with the prototyping technology where you have a CAD model and you convert it into a part without really using tools. So we've examined. So is anybody going to make decals by 3D printing? The answer is no. Is anybody going to make dials by 3D printing? The answer is no, because you need these are backlit parts. Okay, you need light, you need transmission, you need different colors. So 3D is evolving. 3D printing is evolving in a big manner. In fact, we have a 3D printing machine in our company for prototyping, but it will never be a substitute, or nobody should say never. So I would say there's a very, very low probability that in the future you would have 3D printing replacing these sort of parts that we do, because these are mass-produced parts. And different colors, different variation, different varieties. So that embellishment that comes is from the final finishes, the texture, the feel, and that in any case has to be done by the traditional screen printing and the other technologies we have.
Thank you, sir. Coming to the next question, there are some of your products which you give to your customers which have a warranty. How long are these warranties for?
So we never, I think it depends on customer to customer. So we have about a 5-year or a 7-year period, but never ever has, a warranty claim come to us, because these parts that they're not safety parts, or there's no recall that happens in the aesthetic parts that we do, unlike the typical auto component systems. So pretty much, yeah. So answering your question, maybe 5 years to 7 years, depending on who the customer is. There is an agreement that we will service warranty, but in reality, we've never got any warranty.
Okay, sir. Given that most of the questions have been answered, and if there are any questions which are currently pending, yes, sorry, there is one question, sir, which is coming with respect to the valuation approach, and I'm sure this can be answered by the bankers. Could you talk about the implied market cap on the top end of the pricing range and the valuation at which you have come at? How do you justify that?
Okay, I can take that. So the top end valuation implies, a market cap of 1,650 crore. And how we arrive at that, as you're aware, this is a book building process. This is essentially where most of the investors have shown a lot of interest and believe that there is enough left on the table for them to participate and make their fair share of returns. So it's a two-way process, essentially a price at which the investors have sort of raised their hand and come in.
Thank you. With this, we will end the Q&A session here. Thank you, everyone, for showing more interest about knowing more about the company, its leadership, and future potential. I would now like to call upon Mr. Kunal Bhavishi from IIFL Securities to have the closing statement.
Thanks, Lalit. On behalf of SJS Enterprises and the book running lead managers to the issue, I thank you all for attending the brokers, analysts and brokers meet today. Aesthetics, as you have heard today, plays a very crucial role in the consumer perception of the brand and influence decision making. SJS is a unique company. It's a direct play on the growing importance of aesthetics in consumer products, whether it's your cars, two-wheelers, washing machines, refrigerators, or any other consumer durable products. the company itself not having a listed peer, in terms of the product mix, etc., clearly stands out in terms of how unique a business this is. It is one of the leading companies in its segment and has a consistent track record of outperforming the underlying industry and also free cash flow generation. For the benefit of everyone, I'll reiterate the IPO details. The issue opens on Monday, 1st of November and closes on Wednesday, 3rd of November. The anchor will be one working day prior to the issue opening, which is on Friday, 29th of October. The price band for the IPO is rupees 531 to 542 per share. We look forward to your support in this IPO and make it a sort of a blockbuster success. Once again, thank you all for joining us today and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Bavishi. Esteemed audience, we've now come to the end of the webinar. We look forward to your participation and support on making this initial public offering a great success. Wishing you all a great day and keep safe.